everyone, welcome to Warp News Showdown, where the facts are made up and the rules don't matter. I am the most important man on the internet, Seth the Mad Dok, and I am so happy to be here with this week for this week's episode. If you haven't seen the show before, this is a weekly show brought to you here on Wargames Live or over on my personal YouTube channel, Seth the Mad Dok, where I bring on the brightest, the best minds in 40K, and I ask them the hardest hitting questions about what's going on currently in the community. And then, again, being the most important man in the community, I judge whether or not they are correct or not and award them points based off that. This week's a bit of a special episode. Rather than having our normal content creators come on, I decided really I wanted to give something back to the community, and I wanted to highlight the champions of the Wargames Live community. So let's bring them on. Say hello, everyone. Over here to my left is Melody, Sister Melody in the Discord. I think it's just Melody in YouTube chat. But Melody is a prolific Sisters player, has been on stream before, always in chat. Melody, how did you get into Wargames Live?
Basically, my buddy Nate was at this GT, and he just comes over to me, and he runs over, and he's like, there's this guy who's traveling around the country in his RV just filming Warhammer games. And I was like, what are you talking about? So I run over and I meet him, and that was one of Joe's very first streams. And that Nate who ran over and did it was literally his first patron. He was the one who convinced him to set up a patron. So yeah, it's I would say that's when I very first got, like, when I first got started was like when he first got, like, I don't know, when you did that first Flames of August, I guess. It probably would have been like within his first, like, I don't know, 15 or something streams.
Back when he was in the War Wagon phase?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. To my upper left here, a face that you're probably not familiar with because I don't think you've seen him on stream before, but you've definitely seen his work on stream before. This is David, a.k.a. the Haunted Bagel. He's our librarian for this episode. David basically runs all the admin end on the Discord, and he handles all of the technical nonsense going on in chat with exclamation point lists and exclamation point whatever is going on. David, how did you end up on here and helping out Wargames Live?
First off, I have been on stream. I've played Joe twice.
Okay, all right.
On stream. But yeah, so I'm not sure. I think YouTube organically recommended the stream to me one time, and I popped in and I started watching the game and really thought it was really cool, and people were in there chatting, and so I just started talking, and the next thing you know, I was kind of helping out and chat more and stuff like that, and then Joe made me a mod, and then I was given the opportunity to help out with the Discord, and the guy who actually initially started the Discord, Dustin Webb, he gave me the keys to the castle basically and said go run with it, and ever since then I've been doing the TTS events and helping out whatever I can do in the background to help out Joe while he's busy, flying around the world, driving around the country, doing all the Wargames Live hard work. Yeah. I do all the easy, fun stuff.
Yeah. And then above me, a face that's infamous in the community. You may not know it, though. This is the heretic, Nurgle Matt. Nurgle Matt is a member of basically every 40K community that I've seen, and he's a prolific supporter of events. And you might recognize a little Nurgling on one of Joe's cameras, and that was actually purchased for Joe by Nurgle Matt. But Joe, Matt, how did you end up kind of finding Joe and getting hooked up with him?
Oh, hey, chat. I think Joe found me. I was doing my own thing, helping run a GT over in Michigan, and Joe showed up. And as I was cleaning up after the event, helping him fold up a mat at his recording booth, we started talking.
There you go. That's like everyone's story with Joe. I met the guy, I hung out with him, and then I felt I needed to help him. All right. Well, let's get into our first question this week. Bagel, we're going to start with you. Okay. Our question, just to kind of warm up, get everyone, the juices flowing, and everyone has a strong opinion about this one, whether you believe it or not. What is the worst 40K model to assemble?
Ooh, the worst 40K model to assemble. I personally am a huge hater of the new Redemptor Dreadnought kit.
Really?
And that is primarily because the little leg stud axle things that you have to wedge in there and all of that, it's pretty horrendous.
All right.
Also, a lot of flying sisters models that are held on by just their little scrolls.
I mean, at least they don't have tactical rocks.
That's true. Tactical scrolls are
Yeah.
much cooler.
Melody, you're up next. What is the worst model in 40K to build?
There's a lot of things to consider when you think what is the worst to build. And I think the pinnacle of all of them is the Drukhari Raider. So building it itself is terrible. It literally has like 18 little spikes it wants you to put in every single hole. The little mesh netting thing is horrible to fit together when you have to do that leap of faith kind of like glue together thing. It's got tiny little sails that snap all the time. It's on a tiny little clear flight stand that is both ugly and will snap on you. And it's a staple of the faction, so you're going to need like 3 to 5 of these just to have a collection.
Yep, you're gonna have to
Just
keep
like
suffering through
this
them.
is the most taxing, horrible vehicle to build, and it's got horrible gaps. And when you put the gaps in, it is very noticeable. It is the worst, just most misery kit that you can get in the game.
All right. Matt, what about you?
From a chaos perspective, I very much enjoy Melody's previous answer, as that sounds like a bit of torture that I'd happily sign up for. So I don't want to mention the flayed ones because I hear that's a rough build recently, but may I specifically call out ChinaCast and 3D prints on being no fun to assemble, especially when I'm gluing together a 3D print and I'm reminded myself, why didn't this printer just print this in less pieces so I like less glue?
Yeah.
We
So,
appreciate it.
someone in that STL could have cut that differently, probably.
I would also just second anything on a flying stand, on a clear flying stand. Anything that's on those, bad.
Yeah.
Especially inceptors.
Oh yeah, the arc flying stands. Those are That's why everyone's got like
Put this
the,
on a
the
back- on a
smoke
backpack.
backpacks now. Yeah. A solid scoring round for everyone. Let's get into our next question. Matt, we're going to lead off with you because I feel this is a very chaotic answer or question. What is your most hated faction in 40K?
Nurgle hates no factions. Everyone is a friend. What are you kidding me?
I mean, I feel like
Final
isn't there
answer.
like a chaos god that Nurgle hates?
If I need to play one more Thousand Suns or Zinch Buddy, my goodness, those dusty friends.
There we go. There we go. Donut, David, what do you think?
Should you call me Donut?
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
I
bagel.
would have
No!
to say-
-5 points. Where's my point score?
Yeah, where's your points? Take that off. I would have to say the worst Space Marines.
Why you hate
I would
Space
say
Marines?
they're just in a world, in a universe where you have Chaos Gods and Tau and all of these, even Imperium, you have the Sisters and you have Astra Militarum. You have these more interesting factions. You have 1,000 dudes in super armor that all are the same color.
I'm taking points away for calling Astra Militarum more interesting than Space Marines. Astra Militarum are just normal dudes in
They have
space.
Bulgrin and Ratlings.
I'm a Bulgrin.
I'm a Bulgrin.
Melody, what's your most hated faction?
It's got to be Guard. There's no way it's not Guard. I understand that people want to be like, I want to be like a common man fighting against the whatever, but I don't like World War II. That's what I did the sci-fi thing. So like, there's spaces for like you're like, I just want to build like British World War II tanks. And maybe it made sense when they were like just siphoning people from model collecting. But in the current age, like no, like it should be about bullshit. And
Thanks for people
Guard,
too.
okay, think about all the stuff Guard has. It has ugly square tanks. It's got guns that shouldn't belong in the game, like manticores and mortars, which don't make any sense in like the sense of like a city like flaw. The only thing that like actually makes sense is like the guardsman with the las gun. Like that's the only thing that would like actually like there, and maybe like one tank or whatever. But I just think that if the game is ever going to become this cool, like, city fight, like, apocalypse, battlefield, squad tactics type thing, stuff like Guard needs to go and stuff like Space Marines need to stay.
Yeah, I could see that. A little more design space.
I'd like to support Melody, the chaplain, just gutting the guard.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh no, they got it. I just, it's so lame, and they get so much attention.
Guard was maybe the worst example I could have given, but it was the first. It was the second thing that came to my mind in the Imperium Master Sisters. I should have said Knights.
Yeah,
Knights are a very
big
cool
fighty
example.
robot. Big fighty robot. Yeah. All right.
It's so, yeah.
All right, now that we've got everyone warmed up, let's start getting into some more Wargames Live specific questions, because that's really the theme of today's episode. You guys are all in chat throughout the weekend. I want to know, and we're going to start with you, Bagel. I want to know who is the unsung hero of the Wargames Live chat. Who's someone that you want to call out for being there and always being a positive voice in the community and just a great person to hang out with?
Ooh, no doubt, Ken Peters.
Ken Peters.
Ken Peters is the first person that comes to my mind. He's been around since shortly after I came onto the scene in Wargames Live. And you want to talk about someone who is there to hype up Joe and to make sure that people are liking and subbing and doing all that good stuff. Ken is great, and I can't wait for the day that I get to hang out with him in person.
All right. Melody, who do you think is an unsung hero in the Wargames Live chat?
I'm going to go with the unsung part of this answer. So there's something I like to call the Troy line. So there is a guy who comes into every chat now and then, and he just has basically gibberish that comes onto the screen, but none of it is hateful or mean or even like antagonistic at all. It's just random. And I call that the Troy line. And it turns out, I found out recently, he's someone who doesn't speak English natively, and he was using a really busted translator that was just spewing out gibberish. But now it's just, like he's got a better one. He can communicate a little better nowadays. But as a moderator, I always, he would just spew out gibberish. And as a moderator, your instinct is to be like, should I get rid of this? But if it's harmless, like a Troy, chat, then it's good to go.
All right.
So that's the
You can always
unsung
kind
hero,
of get
Troy.
the idea of what Troy was saying.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, who do you think is an unsung hero of the chat?
Oh, every time I'm saying, hey, what's up, Linda Blessing? Hey, what's up, Warhammer Mom? She's the best. Let's
Warhammer
go,
Mom.
Linda.
Points for Mom. Yeah, I mean,
And then the next best, whenever Joe's dogs get on the screens, now I'm really going.
Carbon and Morgan points. All right.
Those are my heroes.
All right. We've all spent a lot of time watching stream. And the most important thing, I think, for a good, long, enjoyable stream experience is having a good stream activity you're doing while you're viewing the stream. Painting models, working on other things around the house, whatever. So I want to know, what is your best stream viewing activity? Let's start with Melody.
I am a laundry folder. If I didn't have Wargames Live, it would be bedlam everywhere. I use Wargames Live to paint, to fold laundry. If I'm being active in chat, it's because I'm folding laundry and just doing it very slowly. If I'm only saying what's up, I'm definitely just painting. Those are the two modes if you want to read what's going behind the screen over there. But yeah, those are my two for sure.
All right, Matt, what is your best streaming activity?
I need to be actively alt-tabbing to other 40K streams while trying to listen to the previous 40K stream that I was just leaving.
That sounds like
If
the
I'm not
exact
doing
answer
that,
I was
I get
expecting
a
from
little
you. Yeah. I'm like, that's exactly what I was expecting from you, because you're always on multiple places at the same time. I imagine you have a dozen screens and you're just but alt-tabbing, I guess, works. All right. Bagel, what is your ultimate stream viewing activity?
So other than painting, which I'm kind of like Melody in the sense of if I'm not typing a lot in chat, I'm probably painting. I also use the streams as a lot of opportunity to, hey, my hobby shelves and my hobby closet are a disaster. And every time I open it during the week, I get so mad. I'll just turn up Joe, go behind me, open up the doors, and start pulling stuff out and reorganizing. And then I discover stuff that I forgot I completely had. Here's an entire range or faction from a game that I forgot I got into that I've never once played. You know, stuff like that. Hobby opportunities become hobby now opportunities when organizing during Wargames Live.
That makes sense. We all could probably do a little bit more organization in the hobby closet. I was just tonight before we got on, I was going through piles of old sprues looking for Tau fusion guns. Because there's been like 3 or 4 different versions, and I wanted a very specific version, so I just started digging around trying to find them. It was a mess. And then my cats invaded the closet, and I couldn't close it, so there's probably a cat living in there now.
My cat has learned how to open the closet in my hobby space, and I've had to make a very specific spot for him down at the bottom, because if he doesn't have a spot, he'll go try to make a spot and then bedlam.
Exactly. More bedlam. All right. Now, streaming as a whole has definitely progressed over the last few years, both in 40K and otherwise. And I have been pushing Joe to be at the forefront of streaming content. And I really think Joe needs to do a hot tub stream. But the question is, if Joe were to do a hot tub stream, who would be the ideal hot tub stream participants to be in the hot tub with Joe while commentating? Ooh. We'll figure out how to set up the stream rig in the hot tub as a different problem. We'll figure that out some other time. But who's going to be in the tub with Joe commenting on the game? Matt, let's start with you.
Shout out Liam Dempsey. We need to bring him over from the Great Hall. We're shipping him all the way, tattoos and all. Dude is built and ready to hang out with Joe in a hot tub. They'd be phenomenal.
I think
I'll pave now.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Come.
All right. David?
It's got to be Joe and John McCardle smoking cigars in the hot tub, you know, just shirtless, just bare skin rug, chest all out, ash, just, you know. Oh. Okay.
No, I think you need Hawaiian shirts.
Oh, in the hot tub?
Yeah.
Just soaking wet. Just
make it look more awkward.
Yeah, that's great. With them wearing sunglasses at night outside in the hot tub.
Hell yeah, I'm in for it. Melody, who's the ideal?
So it's gotta clearly be Seth. Because, I mean, could you imagine the two of them in the hot tub with like their two bellies just barely above the water? It's boiling, it's simmering over, and they're just like leaning back, and it's like more people than water. Yeah, that would be, the visual comedy would be unbeaten.
I have made this offer to Joe. He is not taken up. He thinks for some reason people don't want to see him and I shirtless in a hot tub. I can't imagine why.
Well, I also think that you should just not invite. It's a very intimate ask, isn't it?
Members only. It's a members only stream. All right. There have been tons of crazy adventures on Joe's stream over the years, and if you've been watching, you've seen some good ones. You've seen some heartbreaking stories on the table. You've seen some hilarious behind the scenes, like someone maybe bringing Joe pizza on stream and then it's getting screenshot all over the internet for it for some reason. So I want to know, what was your favorite moment from Joe's stream? Let's start with David again.
I would probably have to say anytime there's been a shoey. Love a good shoey. It was a moment that I remember, but not because it was great. But I remember one time on stream, a table collapsed in the background and someone's Hierophant hit the ground, and that has always stuck with me because it's a bummer, but it definitely a moment that I'll always.
I had to take away points for the mental image of a resin model hitting the ground.
Yeah, it was. You heard the whole table hit. Joe cut over to it, and it was just there.
He cut over to it.
It was in the background behind the players. You couldn't help but see it. It was a mess.
Poor mess. Poor person. Poor model. Melody, best Wargames Live moment.
I think if we're gonna take Wargames Live seriously, which we shouldn't, but as like an ESPN, fake ESPN. I think the most "Do you believe in miracles" moment is when Lucas Troller gives up a single point to Team Poland, and then that causes Poland to win over the U.S. That was like the most like, wait, now we go this, now we go that. Like, it goes down to the last second. It was caught on camera. The stakes were high. The tension was palpable. You had all the teams huddled up together, and like, you had the chanting and whatnot. So I think that was like the hypest, most like, like sports highlight Friday Night Lights moment that was caught on Wargames Live.
I can get behind that. Matt, favorite moment?
I have been so excited thinking about Peter the Falcon's new Square-based show that I almost forgot the question, but I'm still here for you. My favorite adventure that Joe goes on, besides his tangents of talking about said Peter the Falcon, are when he has to be Max as a lifelong Chaos player, when he is having to tech priest his hardest with failing equipment. I just see him sweat. Got to reset some cameras. Players knock over things. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think I can specifically remember. I think it was not this WTC, but the one before, where it got so hot that his computer started shutting down, and so he had to find a fan for the computer. And then I think at least multiple times the overhead cameras overheated as well and had to be like cooled by something. All right,
cool off during the break. Also, another really fun moment, real quick. Chun-Li playing Triple Wraith Knight on Wargames Live was pretty great.
Nothing about Triple Wraith Knight is fun or cool, just so we're clear. It's PTSD.
Hey, that was in the end of 9th edition, okay? It was cool at the time.
I'm just a
Sword and Board.
Eldar. Okay, fine. I'll give that Sword and Board. All right. Okay, fair enough. All right. Now we're getting into a little bit of dream time. If you could add one thing, whether it's technologically feasible or not, to Joe's stream, it could be anything. It could be a crowd-controlled camera. It could be a live ticker of win percentages. Whatever you want. If you could add one element to Joe's stream, what's the one thing you want to see? We're going to go to Matt specifically because he's been invaded by a producer.
I am going to need Joe to play Spooky Boop at all times, because that's really the only improvement that the stream needs. If we could just have more
Spooky Boop. More Spooky Boop. All right, I'm down with it.
Not limited to shadow rounds.
I would have to say a permanent doggo cam. Just wherever the dogs are, if they're at mom's house, if they're staying with someone else, just at all times, there's a camera in the bottom corner showing whatever Carbon and Morgan are doing.
Like a picture-in-picture. Yeah.
He's right.
Yes, that's right.
Down with that. Melody?
I wish there was like an American Idol style confessional room that you could run into right before it's like, I'm Jim, I'm from Mobile, Alabama, and I've been playing Wraith Knights for 6 years, and then we just cut to another guy and be like, hi, I'm Roger from Athens, Georgia, and I've been playing guard for 14 years. And then, while they're thinking during the movement phase, you could just cut to more B-roll of them being like, this, I painted my first model when da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, it would be perfect.
Yeah. We could also add to that and be like, hey, they have a crappy roll, and then you cut to them and you're like, man, how was that roll? They're like, oh, God, that was the worst.
Yeah.
Listen, Melody, I'm in Athens, Georgia, and I want to know who that guy is that's going to that tournament. I'm going to hitch a ride with him next time.
All right. This is probably the most controversial question of the episode, and one that is hotly debated every weekend in Wargames live chat. We're gonna start off with you, David. You've got some ground to gain here, so really be thinking hard about this. Which dice, blue or red, are truly the cursed dice?
Blue.
Why?
Absolutely blue. And I would say probably statistically, I think it's blue on average. It's got to be blue.
Are you crunching the numbers to prove your point?
Yes.
The eye twitch got me. Melody, blue or red?
You asked which dice are cursed.
Yes.
The answer to that is neither. I'm a blue dice warrior, But the blue dice is like being jumped into a gang. They beat you down and they like throw you over and they test your faith. But if you put your faith in the blue dice, they will come in for you when it matters most.
All right.
The problem is that Joe's been putting me on red dice because I've been playing Flesh Terrors so often recently. But at heart, I'm a I'm a diehard blue dice ganger.
All right. So we've got blue dice and no curse. Matt, what about you? Which is the cursed dice?
I'm still hung up on Flesh Terrors because I don't know how you're not a Chaos player, but I'm here for you. I support the trans. So what I'm really excited about for these dice is I don't understand. The cursed dice to me are the ones that are landing in a dice box and then they're still cocked, or they find a way to hop out of said dice box.
I mean, I think they hop out from enthusiasm, but I certainly see the occasional cock dice in the box, which is really an impressive feat. But once again, a great show, great answers from everyone. Tight race up until the end, but today's winner is Melody. Melody has conquered the other champions of the community, and as is your right, Melody, you now get the chance to monologue to the community about whatever you want, and they are forced to listen to you just like your other contestants here. So, Melody, take it away.
Okay, so I want to use this time to harp about narrative events. You should go to them. You should go to more of them. Replace one comp event in your schedule for one narrative event. Let me tell you why. I have a glowing trophy. It broke, but I do have it. Where what happened was I had a combination lieutenant in the middle of the board near a Reductus Saboteur bomb token. I scout moved closer to it. I looked up the rules. It's a normal move. It triggers on a normal move. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. What is it, D3 mortals? No, it's way more than that. So it blew up my combi lieutenant on turn 0 before the tournament had even began, because it was the first map on the first day of the first, like literally people were still bleary-eyed when I was just like, oh my God, I just lost my warlord for this battle. So that and just like I played with a fault line group out in San Diego, and we played like on giant construction crates with literal cranes that you could move. We had like upstairs, downstairs battles where it's 2 battlefields, but they're connected by elevators. We had like, of course, like big fortresses and whatnot, but like playing narratively and just like learning to play by intent, which is what you should be doing anyways, I think opens up kind of like why we play the game again, when like you're done crunching the meta and you're done finding out what the best units are and whatever, and making 2,000 points and getting the reps and whatever. I really, really want to stress that narrative events are not just this weird place where like uncompetitive people are sweaty and they play on shitty boards. Like, I think you need to unlearn that, just like they need to unlearn that like we're the opposite, and like just go to one. Anyways, that's my soapbox.
Yeah, I've played in a few narrative events. In fact, I basically only did narrative stuff before I got into the tournament scene a few years ago. But yeah, a lot of fun. Met a lot of good friends through that. Matt, David, any narrative events in your life?
I haven't done any narrative events. Well, no, that's actually a lie. No. I was hosting a narrative event, like a league, for a while, and that was enjoyable. But I've not been to any large narrative events. But if there's elevator dividing multiple tables and cranes with crane operators and stuff like that, I want to go to those. Yeah, that sounds like a great time.
In fact, I think I've heard of the Fault Line group before. They're pretty infamous for their narrative events. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciated all of you guys making some time to hop on. I know this is not your normal shindig, but I'm very happy to have everyone on. You're always welcome back whenever you want on. Just reach out to me. Folks in chat, of course, if you ever want to see anyone else on the show, please reach out to me. You can head on over to the Wargames Live Discord. There is a Warp News channel. You can hop in there and give me your ideas for questions that I might steal for next week's episode, or give me ideas for who else you want to see on the show. But once again, I thank everyone for watching. Don't don't forget to support Joe, like and subscribe to his stream, super chats, memberships, all the fun stuff. He's too embarrassed to ask for it, but I'm not. Support Joe. And if you have some spare time, head on over to my YouTube channel, Seth the Mad Dok. There it is. And check out the show there. It's always up on Mondays. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one and take it easy.